my my pain point. I'm going to intentionally, almost to a fault, choose your competitor because you came to me and I did not come to you. I'm it's not necessarily petty. I want to be the person who decides who I use. And you better have a good value proposition. You better have a good brand. Better have a good reputation. If I can't find you on Google, if I can't find if I see that there's no like investment in brand and marketing and community development at all, just probably not going to choose you. Uh, I definitely get it. I mean, it works. It's not necessarily illegal. I just think that I wish that as a utopia world for me is like no one door knocks, everyone competes on branding and community development and trying to actually provide value. Because here's the thing. Here's the bottom line with roofing door knockers for the most part. I'm not saying everyone. Here's the big problem with them. Even if they're local, I'm not saying storm chasers that go to different places. I'm saying that people that are local, they have the only thing that you have against me if I'm going to sell a roof to you. The biggest thing you have is you could write a bad review for me. For most storm chasers or door knockers in general, they don't care. So I care about my reputation. I care about it on Google, in the community. I care about how people perceive our brand and me personally and my salespeople personally, Kathleen, Tisha, Cameron. I care about how people perceive my team and our reputation as a company. I care about that. There is very little incentive for a door knocker who doesn't know their crew, who doesn't know the sales, who doesn't know the office admin in general to actually care about the long-term effects that that roof is going to make to that homeowner. That's generally true. Not always, but generally it's true. If they're not local to that area, it's impossible for them to care. If they've driven to Austin, Texas, and they're from Oklahoma, they're just not going to care. Their life has moved on.
I think there's a big difference between local door knockers
Mm-hmm.
and storm chasers. That's
That's a
an
great
important
that's a
distinction to
great
make.
differentiator. It is true.
Like it's not just door knocking versus not door knocking.
So let's get down to local. Let's just say just local now. So let's just take storm
Well,
chasers.
I think it's we need to establish what those two things are. Like, so we have storm chasing, which there's a lot of issues with storm chasing. I think you just mentioned some of those issues. I think on the what I see day to day, which is the more tech side of the roofing business, both for Proline and then my experience working in marketing with you, there's a massive number of issues that get created when you do storm chasing. You're jumping into other markets. Really undermines building any kind of value in your business long term.
Yep.
But then on the flip side, the local, and so I have some friends that do door knocking here in Atlanta for roofing, and they're locally based, so they're going down the street. They're going across the city to go knock in a neighborhood, and so it's like these are people they might see next week in the grocery store. I mean, I guess Atlanta's pretty big, but you get the idea. Like they're knocking in their local community. Like, so I guess, question to you is like, do you see that as different? Or are you
definitely see it as different? I still think that there's enough problems with local door knockers that they should go away too. So here's why. If you probably can't count on one hand the percentage of people who stay local door knocking for years and years and years. So if they're in that position and they don't want to stay there for most people don't last more than one season anyway, that are actually local door knockers of any kind. Let's say they last 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 years. Most roofing companies don't even last 2 years and definitely not 5 years. So it's not a good enough lifestyle for that position. So then that means that the trust that person has is not from an owner's perspective. If I'm saying, let's just take Cameron, for example. If I said, Cameron, you have to provide every lead for yourself. It's all self-gen lead. You have to generate every single lead for yourself. That's not in the best interest of my homeowners that I serve as an owner, because he is statistically overwhelmingly going to burn out and fail and quit. So the relationship that Cameron built with that homeowner and the relationship that Cameron had with our installers is all broken down. And the warranty and the trust that people have with us doesn't really hold a lot of weight, because the relationships matter between what the homeowner said. I trusted Cameron to take care of me. Well, if he's gone in 6 months because of the way that system is set up, which is highly likely that he'll be gone, that's not a good business model at all, because you're not thinking about the homeowner. If we're always thinking about our customers and thinking about our reputation and how customers perceive us, and then we're having turnover over and over again, that's not in the best interest of anyone. At the end of the day, we're also, don't get me started on like commission structures, but like, it's not in the best interest of the company.
Maybe another day.
It's not in the best interest of the crew, because the crew doesn't know who they can trust. Because if that person is a salesperson that sees it all the way through to the end, cradle to grave, they don't know who they're working with. So that the consistency of the workmanship, like, is the material going to be there on time? Is it the right amount of material? There's so many things that are wrong because the crew doesn't know what they're supposed to be doing on any particular job. So the consistency is not there for the crew either. So the crew loses, the company loses, the door knocker doesn't stay employed, the homeowner loses. It's just, statistically and for all practical purposes, it's a failed system. So even local ones, they just don't stay around. They just don't. And it doesn't help. You need somebody who, this is why it's taken so long for me to find good people that want to be in the roofing space for a long time. I don't want somebody that wants to be around for 1 or 2 years. I want somebody who wants to spend their career, years and years and years, building relationships to help themselves and to help the homeowners that they work with.
I think I feel like this is part of the reason we work so well together, because we both, in general, have that longer term mindset when it comes to business. This just sort of occurred to me. I've always said, like, I don't want to do something unless I plan to do it for the next 10 years. Like, when it comes, that's every time people hit me with like a business idea, it's like, that sounds really cool. I'm sure you can make a lot of money with it. It's not something that I want to do for the next 10 years. So I'm not going to pursue it. I've only ever pursued, that's not true. I've pursued a lot of random business ideas, but that's what I sort of like figured out. I feel like in the last 5 years is like, oh, let me just focus on the things that have longevity. And so I feel like we both have that sort of mindset. It's like, what's the point in pulling in a random person to do door knocking if they're going to be in it for a year? Like, the goal is not to hire someone for a year, it's to hire someone for the next 10 years.
Yep.
And that's a lot harder to find, but if you can find that makes for a much more solid, more valuable business that's a lot more stable. Okay, let's wrap this up. So, I didn't think about a closing question. I feel like we should have like a closing. Oh yeah. Okay. What about this? What is something that you're looking forward to in the next week that is not roofing related? It can't be related to the business, can't be related to roofing. What's something completely unrelated that you're looking forward to in the coming week?